Hello, witches. Happy Friday. Crystal Moon here. Happy Samhain. We are entering into Halloween weekend, the holiday that put witches on the map. The reason for the season, magic is in the air. Stupidest conversation I heard in the car this morning. They were talking about the most online researched Halloween costume for this year, and guess what? The witch. And of course they take it to the stereotypical level and they're like, oh, we're going to have all these sexy witches running around this year. And I'm thinking not. I'm thinking more, traditional witch here, modern day traditional witch, just because we've all been through COVID. We're on this whole other level of spirituality. We've had like this whole year, most of us, to practice our craft and, get it out there. So I'm thinking they're full of shit, but that's just me. Maybe there is going to be a bunch of sexy witches running around. I don't think so. So anyway, let's talk about some really cool traditions that Samhain has to offer. So Samhain is originally, of course, pagan holiday, Celtic pagans, week-long festivals, bonfires. Witches love fire. Bonfires, setting intentions, releasing everything, because on the Wiccan calendar, Samhain is celebrated as the beginning of the new year. So this is basically New Year's Eve. So look at this as a release. Look at this as, and I like to look at it as a celebration from Beltane, which was April 30th to May 1st, to Samhain night, October 31st. Why? Because in the Northern Hemisphere, we're celebrating Samhain. In the Southern Hemisphere, they are celebrating Beltane. So remember, there are 2 times a year that you're going to feel the thinning of the veil. Samhain, Beltane. My house lets me know if I forget, believe me. I have some spirits here. I have some, activity in my house that I've had since we moved in, and it's just learning to, over the years, deal with it. I know the spirits that I do have here, that I allow to stay here, were deceased previous owners, residents of this house. So I enjoy their little quirkiness, the stuff that they like to do. But come October, 5 o'clock this morning, my bladder woke me up. But my house decided, after I tried to go back to bed, that we're going to make like a window slamming sound. Hey, you don't get to go to sleep. Wake up. Then we're going to make a sound like something fell in the kitchen, because don't go to sleep. Get back up. So of course I'm up. I'm looking. I didn't find anything. There's nothing nowhere. So, weird creaks, there's just all kinds of stuff going on, and like I said, my house is active anyway. It just peaks. It definitely peaks now, and it peaks again in the spring. Most of the time I actually forget that that's going on around Beltane, just because, I'm kind of trying to get into the spring spirit coming out of winter, and not remembering that the Southern Hemisphere is celebrating Samhain, and that energy is still there. So, release, renew, begin again, basically, the witch's new year. So let's talk some traditions. The biggest one is the jack-o'-lanterns. Protection. Carve those faces in them, set them on your front porch, because originally it was done with gourds and it was done with beets. Holy hell, did they look scary with beets. It's crazy. And the gourds, oh yeah, these things are horrendous. Look it up if you haven't. But that was supposed to scare away, the evil spirits. Because, as we're all celebrating our ancestors, acknowledging our ancestors, wanting to feel their presence, we have a lot of negative energies out there too. The veil is thin. It's just not for the ones we want. It's for the ones we don't want too. So remember that when you are doing any type of conjuring this weekend, divinations, spell work, protect yourself, please, you guys. It is no joke. If you believe in this stuff, then believe in protecting yourself. So jack-o'-lanterns are good for protecting. They will banish that negativity, and they will protect your home. the negative spirits and protect your home. So we have that. Also, originally, the wearing of the masks was so we could walk amongst the spirits and they would not know whether we were alive or deceased. So that was another tradition that was carried over, merged with, Roman holidays, Christianity. When they came through, they tweaked everything to make it fit what we now have as modern day Halloween, trick-or-treating Halloween, and don't get me wrong, I love handing out candy to the kids. It is one of my thrills. We don't usually go anywhere for Halloween. It's just, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I like to stay home. I'm an introvert. I don't want to go out. So I will get dressed. I get dressed up every year. I always have costumes around. But handing out candy is probably the most fun modern way to do it. So, fires, witches love fires. Let's, throw some affirmations in there, throw some intentions, throw some release in there, because even do some fire scrying. See what the fire has to tell you on Halloween night. It'll make its presence known. It'll let you know. Always snap pictures. Take a look at them a day or two later. You might see something in them that you did not see that night. Fire scrying is like one of my favorite fall into winter things, because we do a lot of outside fire pits. Another tradition is to have a dumb supper. It's not dumb. So a dumb supper is actually having a meal in complete silence. You set places for your ancestors at the table. Any of your loved ones, your past loved ones, this is a night to acknowledge them, to kind of pay homage to them. And you eat in complete silence. There's no TV, there's no radio, there's no sound. So as soon as you all sit down to eat, you eat in silence. Everything's done in silence. Once your dinner is done, you can clear the table, and then you can go in the other room and celebrate like nothing else. But that silent dinner, that dumb supper, is to acknowledge and pay homage to the ancestors that you have picked to be at your table that night. So that's another fun tradition. Also, one that kind of pulls at my heartstrings is there is an old tradition of lighting a white candle in a windowsill, because as the spirits are free to roam, they can sometimes get lost. So by morning, they may not be able to find their way back, and the white candle flame is supposed to help guide them back to their realm. So with that being said, I lost my dad in 2012 and literally lost him in 4 months. Pardon my dogs, they're going nuts. I lost him in 4 months to cancer. So my little tribute to him is lighting that white candle every Halloween. So I will put the candle, we burn tea lights in our candles that night, but usually they're burnt out before we go to bed. So before we go to bed, I will get like the taller one, or even another tea light, even though they only burn a couple hours. You can get a couple, because it's a neat vessel. If the candle leaks all over, it's inside the pumpkin. It's not going to start a fire. If it does, it burns a tiny little bit of the wet pumpkin. It's too wet still, so it doesn't go anywhere. So if you decide to burn one in the windowsill, please be careful. Please make sure your vessel is well protected if it does happen to break, because it's supposed to be burnt all night. I choose to do that in the jack-o'-lanterns because I'll light them before we go to bed, and I will kind of put that affirmation out there that if I didn't receive their message, that I'm still acknowledging that they visited, and that maybe next time I will be able to receive their message. And that I love them, and I will light the candles. I usually have 2, sometimes 3 jack-o'-lanterns every year, but at least 2. And I'll light the candles, set those affirmations and those that love, and then I'll go to bed. And I've never had an issue with burning the candles inside of my pumpkins. I'm really iffy about leaving something burning all night in the windowsill. So if you decide to do that, just please be super, super careful. Also, with the divination thing, if you want to do any divination, please protect yourself. It is, if you believe in the magic, then you need to believe in protecting yourself, that you can be, attached. You can have negative energies attached to you during divination, especially when the veil is thin. This is not, if you're going to do that kind of stuff, it's not a party. This is not fun. This is, this is serious. And take it very serious when you're doing this kind of stuff with the veil being this thin. And remember, in the springtime that we have, that same energy around Beltane. So if you want to take time to acknowledge your ancestors again, that's a really good time too, because that veil is thin again. Either way, I hope you all have a fabulous Samhain. With it being a week-long celebration, I think I'm going to start tonight and go through probably Monday, because that'll be the day after November 1st. Usually that's Dia de los Muertos that they celebrate in Mexico. So, Day of the Dead there. I definitely celebrate well into the 2nd. So I'll celebrate November 1st too, just because that energy worldwide, that whole ancestral love is there. So harness that, use that. Beginning of the witch's year, so set those new goals, release the old things that no longer serve, and give thanks for everything that's happened from Beltane up to now. And we move into the winter, and we get to look forward to Yule and the winter solstice. I really love the winter solstice. It's kind of like the breaking point of light. Our darkest day is there. So still lots of fun stuff. I'm going to try and make a good cold winter, more celebratory, because there's still lots of things to celebrate, even though we are kind of dead on the Earth's surface during our winter. So hope you have an awesome, awesome weekend, end of October, Samhain, Halloween, and we will talk to you soon.